Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Photoshop Party. What's today's date? The 25th of July, and we're going to be talking about the clone stamp tool today. So I'm excited to do this. If you haven't already, make sure you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my programs so you get an update when they get posted. Normally, I try to have these posted at least within a couple of hours after we finish the program. So as soon as it's done, I don't edit them. I just straight up send them out and put them on YouTube. So everybody's available. They're free to watch. This is free for everybody. So make sure you send invites to anybody you know that might want to watch. So here we go. Let's go ahead and share screen. And hopefully everybody can see what's going on here. Nothing, right? Close that. Go to desktop. July 25th. Today is our date. So, let's start with this guy. Out of focus, and clone stamp tool is not going to help make them in focus, but it will do a couple of quick things. Mama likes some of the ink that's all over him, but she wants a couple of the tattoos removed, like on the chest right here. So the clone stamp works really easy for that. Hit S for stamp, option click or alt click where you want to clone from, and just paint it in. And you go, it's not working. Why is it not working? Well, the first thing you do is you go up to the toolbar across the top, 100% opacity, 100% flow. Okay, that's good. Mode darken. That's not exactly how we want to do it. So let's go ahead and go from darken. Let's go to lighten just for fun. And what I'll do is paint over it again. And what it does is makes up the errors that I did. So let me go back a little bit, start back over again. So option click, and we just kind of paint over. And what's happening is it's painting areas that are darker than what it already was. And what I should be doing is putting this on another blank layer to start over. So let's go ahead and do that just for fun. We'll go to layers, add a new blank layer so we can do this non-destructive. And we'll just paint over it again. So option click. And it's still coming up a little bit darker here for some reason, which it shouldn't be. It should be getting lighter. And I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. And let's go to normal and see what happens with that. So we'll go to normal, paint, and you can see it's a little spot right here that I painted on, and it went brighter because I used a brighter spot over here. What you want to try and do is go close. You want to have your brush set to 0 hardness. If you do 100% hardness, the tracking will show up a lot more. Let's do one up above his cheek up here. And you can see a little bit of tracking right in here. Whereas if I used a softer edge brush, let's go to clone stamp again, S for clone stamp, right click, hardness down to 0. Get rid of that. Option click. And you can see that the edges don't show up as bad. They soften the edges where you did it, and you hide what's going on. And it's still coming up really dark for some reason. I don't know why that's happening, but I don't care because I'm going to close him, get rid of him. And we're going to talk a little bit about the clone stamp tool itself. So let's go ahead and go to this shot right here. And when I went to shoot the capital, photograph the Capitol. I don't want to say shoot up the Capitol. Some folks were very nice. They decided to do a senior portrait shoot on the stairs, put their jacket there, sat there for a long time. I was patient for a while, and finally I just gave up, said I'll just clone them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Window, Clone Source, and it opens up a whole brand new window here. And a couple of things to think about. Number one, up in the top toolbar, I'm going to go with normal, opacity 100, flow 100, and there's a box where you can check aligned. If I uncheck that, what happens is, let's do a selection there. Every time I move, it goes to the same spot. So when I paint over, it'll go back to that same spot over and over and over, which if you're not careful, it's going to cause cloning tracks, and you're going to see it in your image. So let's go back a couple steps and click aligned. And what happens now is click on aligned, option click there. You can see that it lines up my lines for me, and that is from this box right here in the clone source. It says show overlay. So what that does, it shows me where the lines match up, so I can just draw a straight line across. And I can line up my clone right there, drag it across. And you see on the left-hand side where I started at, there's a small plus sign. That's where it's cloning from. And the circle is where it's cloning to. So you can get your lines lined up. Option click. And you can see if I move it down, the lines don't line up. They're not aligned there. Click it up. And we'll just drag it to the left. And there you have it. That easy to take them critters out of there. However, I start getting cloning stamp or cloning marks here. You can see repeating lines over and over and over. And you don't want that when you're doing cloning. You want it to look like nothing's ever been there. These guys would be a bear to take out, so I'm not going to waste your time on that. These guys should be fairly easy to remove. So let's go ahead and option click. And we'll just take out half of them. And as closer I get to these guys, I don't want the stairs to show up, so I got to do my cloning closer. So option click to sample. Start on the bottom line right there. And just that easy, you can take them out. Easy peasy. And if you get repeating lines like this one and this one are repeating, what I'll do is start in between and just kind of take out the one, so there's not two different lines there. There's two spots, one here, one here. Just sample click and take one out. Just that easy. There's a couple of things on here. Number one, let's look at the top of the clone source box right here. You have 5 different clone stamps. So let's say I picked right here clone stamp number 1, and let's go to clone stamp number 2, and we'll start on this bright spot right here. So I'm going to put it up in the middle of this cement right here just for fun. We'll go back to number 1, and that's where it's selected down here at the bottom stair. If I click on the second stamp right there, we clicked on the bright spot, and you can see it's got a bright spot there. This bright spot is where we picked, and that's what's happening. So you've got 5 different stamps. So if you're doing multiple clone stamping across your image, Let's go to the third one. If you're doing multiples and you want to, okay, we got to fix that. Good. Got that fixed. I want to go back to the stairs again. We'll click my stairs and do the stairs. You can pick and choose and not have to sample the area. You can pick and choose what you want to do. And let's put that back to normal. That is why everything was darkening. What happens is when you are working with a tool and it's not working 100% with you, no problem. We'll just go to your tool up here and reset tool. Click on that. It now reset the tool, so everything should go back to default. Back to normal here. Should be normal up on top here. So if you have a problem like you were seeing with that kid picture, everything was going dark. Well, it was going to darken here, but I was set to lighten there. So for some reason, it was just overriding it. So that's how you can fix that one. Let's go ahead and go Command W, don't save. Close that for a second, and we'll go to these guys right here. Being that I like to cheat in print competition, I'm going to add some birds to my image, but I don't want them to look the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, let's go with this one right here, the width. So I'm going to click and flip it. Alt click on his tail, or option click, and I'm going to paint him over here, make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. And it painted it backwards. So by clicking right here on this button, it flips it horizontal. I'm going to unclick that, click on the flip it vertical button. We'll do this guy here, option click on his tail so we know where we're starting. And you can see what we did is flipped him vertical there. You can also change it. Let's go 50%. We'll do the same thing again. Option click. And it made it 50% the size while turning it upside down. And this one will do the same thing. Let's click there. And it's starting to get all kinds of birds in there. So you play with these up here. When you're done, you just unclick them. You can reset the tool by going to your tool up here, the settings wheel, down to reset, and it should reset it to 0, which it didn't, or 100%, which it didn't do. So I'm going to manually do it. And if you don't want to do a total 100% vertical or horizontal, you can come down to the next box down here that has the angle. Let's change it to 90 degrees. And we'll take this little bitty guy here, option click, make my brush a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. And we just turned them 90 degrees. So if you're doing a retouch and you need to change your lines, etc., you can change the number here. Or an easier way, let's go back to open, and we'll go back to 0 here. And what we'll do is go to layers, add a new layer. This is my blank retouching layer. And make sure that you select current and below. If I tried to do just current layer, and we option click and tried to paint them in, nothing's going to show up because it's selecting the current layer, which is totally blank. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have current and below. We'll do the same thing again. Option click. We'll paint in his wings, paint in his body. Life is good. Well, it looks too much like the one on top. So we'll just do a Command T for free transform, tweak it a little bit, do this, maybe do a little bit of a warp. So it's not the same looking bird. And now we have two different birds going the same direction. And you'll see right in this area where my cursor is, there's a light color there. Well, let's go back a few steps. History to new layer. And I'm going to change my mode from normal to darken. And we'll do the same thing again. And it's still brought in the light colored cloud underneath there. That should not do that. So we'll change this one to darken. And we'll do the same thing. It's still bringing in a light color there. I don't know what the heck is going on with that. It's not supposed to bring in a lighter color. It's supposed to only darken it. So apparently I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, and I don't know why you guys are here. So, ay, ay, ay.
Michael, could it be because you're on that blank layer? It doesn't know what it's going on to. It thinks it's blank.
You know what, Bruce? You just won the booby prize because you are 100% correct. Let's go ahead and change this from a blank layer. We'll delete that layer. And we'll do a Command J. Now we'll do the same thing. Option click. We're in darken mode. And you can see that there is no light color under here now. For some reason, and I don't know why, but when it picks up the other blank layer, it doesn't do exactly what you want. And Bruce, I'm glad you brought that up because I totally forgot about that. In fact, we can do an example just to show you real quick. Go Command New. Let's do 10 by 8 on white. Marquee. We're going to fill with black. So I'm going to Option, and we'll do hue 0, saturation 0, brightness at 50%. 50, not 550. That should give me 50% gray. So we'll take the marquee tool, move it over here. We'll fill it with gray. Move the marquee tool over here. And we'll change from gray to FFF, which is white. And then we'll just fill it with white, even though we don't have to because it's already white. Now, if I went up and did my clone stamp from the right-hand side in the white, I'm going to go Stamp, Option, and paint on the gray. Nothing is happening. Nothing's happening on the black. The reason is I'm set to darken here. Change that to normal. Darken there. Nothing. Now if we do it, you can see that it's changing from white, it's painting white, and painting white. So it works there. If I add a blank layer and change this to darken, Option click, and it's going to paint on there because it's a blank layer. That's kind of a glitch. I don't understand why they did it that way, but I'm sure they had a reason for it. But anyway, thanks for bringing that up, Bruce. And you can see if we go lighten and did the same thing, it would get rid of this one.
Hey, Michael,
Yes.
what if you change the layer of blend mode, see what happens?
So you want to change this to
Like darken?
go to darken here.
Yeah.
And go to normal up here or
No,
darken or
no,
normal.
darken, either one.
Okay. So we'll hit option and it's not darkening. But if I do it from the side over here on the left on the black, then it darkens.
Yeah.
If I change the blend mode to lighten, the other one that we first did shows up. So you can play with your blend modes and drive yourself crazy with it, but it works.
Yeah, it just adds another wrinkle.
Yep. So you got your input here, you got your input up here, and you got your input on the blend modes on the layers. So if things start going wonky on you, start looking at number one, the top tool panel. Then you look at your clone source here, and then look at your layer mode here. If we change it to overlay, you can see it's still painting because that just kind of works with the midtones. So if I went black, it'll paint on the midtones, do black again, let's paint on the outside, and it's not painting in the white area because that's no midtones, it's only affecting the grays. So any questions on that part so far? No questions on that. Okay, let's go ahead and do this all over again. 8 by 10. Now let's do a black. So we'll change it to X, fill it with black, deselect. You can change your brushes in the clone stamp tool so that you're playing with all the different brushes that you have. Let's go ahead and find my grass brush. We've played with this before. Come on, use your brain. Go to grass. I now have a grass brush. So if I option click here and paint over here, it paints with the grass brush. And then you have to go to your brush settings. So window, brush settings. And you can see the spacing's at 25%. Let's take it down lower. Shape dynamics, the jitter is turned up. And the scatter is turned up. So now if I option click, make my brush smaller so it shows up easier. And to make your brush smaller, everybody knows use the left bracket key for a shortcut. Or you can go up here. There we go. And check your size this way as well. So if you have a brush that you like and you just want to clone stamp an area, like grass or something, you can do that really easily. And then when you work with your brush settings, you got your pick of the brushes, your size, and then you have all the different scatters and brushes and all kinds of stuff. You're going to make yourself crazy when you start playing with this tool. Let's go ahead and go back, close that out, go back to this guy here. And when you get lazy like I am now, I'm going to hit J and go from healing brush to remove tool. Zoom in on these guys here. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . and their jacket and say goodbye. Most of the time it won't give you any clone tracks for where it made the changes. And normally, hopefully it won't make a liar out of me. It makes a liar out of me. Normally it does a very good job very easily. The cool thing is with the beta version, which I'm sure in October when they do their release, it's going to have the new fill in there that's just going to be amazing and take care of everything for you. There are times when the clone stamp tool is needed, probably not here because it should just take it right out. But if it doesn't, you know where the clone stamp tool is. You can see it left a little mark right here, discoloration. So we'll just go to this clone stamp tool, go to a soft round brush, make it a little bit smaller, option click, make sure I line up my lines right there. And that took care of the discoloration really quick. So there are times when you're still going to have to use the clone stamp tool and play with it, enjoy it. The more you play with it, the easier it is to use, and you don't have to fight as much with it. So,
Michael,
sir,
one of the things that I found, in fact, you might be looking at doing it now, if you have halo around things, using the clone stamp tool in either the darken mode or the lighten mode is a great way to get rid of it.
this is true. Like you can see a little bit of haloing right here. So what I would do is sample just, make my brush smaller, sample just above it. Whoops. Make sure you're in the clone stamp tool to begin with. Sample just above it. Option click, and what I like to do is hold the shift key down now. And what it does, it goes all the way across for me. And it did a little bit brighter there, so not happy with that. But if I option click here, I didn't line it up good. Hang on. Do it again. That's why I like having my overlay on so I can see where it lines up. Hold the shift key and boom. And if you do it on its own layer, we'll go backwards a little bit, put a new layer, do current and below. Even if you get off a little bit, let's go ahead and sample. I'm going to deliberately make it off. You see, oops, I made it too high. Instead of going back and doing it again, take the move tool and just inch it down. And if it's still a little high on this end, Command T for free transform and just adjust it so where it fits. You can also warp it. So if you needed to fill in somewhere that's not perfect, you can bring it and warp it in and hide things that you don't want to do. That's a good reason for putting it on its own layer. Plus it's non-destructive, which I hate to be destructive. Well, never mind. I do love being destructive. I like blowing things up. So we'll go for clone stamp. Go over here. Paint, 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 paint. And it's gone. So easy peasy. The remove tool, we're going to be getting used to that, but don't forget about that clone stamp tool, because the remove tool, I got this guy right here. Let's see how that does. I don't know if it's going to go good or not. We'll see. Like last time, I was surprised when it made shoes and pants and did all that stuff for us last time. I was amazed. Ah, do you know why it gave me that window saying there's not enough source material? Because we're on this layer up here, the blank layer. So I hit Command E to bring it down, paint them again. Hit enter. And when I use the remove tool, I turn off the instant remove after each stroke. I want to make sure I've painted exactly what I needed. And I'm going to go down here a little bit just to see what happens, see if it makes it better. Did a decent job though. I could have done that with the clone stamp tool. In fact, when I back out, you won't even notice it, but he'll be gone. So, any questions on that? Going once. Go ahead, Pia.
No, I'm just learning a lot. I've been trying that clone stamp tool on irregular surfaces, and I wonder if you have something that's irregular. Is it easier? How tougher? How that I had some problems in one of my images with that just recently.
I don't know if I have anything with the irregular surface, but like taking this guy right here and putting him above the window, would that be considered irregular surface, or you're talking about somewhere else?
No, I was thinking like on a mountain, for example, and you've got a halo around that, and you're trying to go around all the little edges, and I wasn't very successful at it. Maybe I can try it again.
Yeah, just make your brush a little bit smaller so you're not trying to get a big area done at one time. And
Okay,
just go on the very edge of the mountain, put it into darken mode, like in the
okay,
top up here. Oops. Yeah, there's a little bit right here. So let's go ahead and go into clone stamp, and we're going to change into darken, and go to clone stamp tool. We'll change that to darken,
okay.
and we'll make a new layer. And we'll just go ahead and option click just above it. And I'm working with my mouse instead of my Wacom tablet. So it's a
Right.
little bit more difficult to do. Whoops, a little too big.
And would you suggest resampling several times as you're going
Definitely.
up? Okay,
The more you resample, the better chance you have of getting a good one. So let's
okay,
set that back to normal.
makes sense.
Set this back to normal. If you have a straight line, you don't really need to resample.
Right. I don't have too many of those in the mountains.
No, definitely not. But you can see by using the darken instead of a normal, it took it out fairly quickly. So we went from that bright line above it to where you don't even see it now.
Okay, yeah. I just have to practice.
Practice, 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 and make sure you use the modes on here, darken, lighten. Those are the main ones that I use all the time.
Okay. I've never gone to that clone source area there ever before, so I've probably missed out on a lot.
There's a whole lot to it, and it does all kinds of cool stuff. And especially if you're doing multiple clonings, using the multiple clones
Right.
up here, multiple sources, because a lot of times you'll do it, you'll go back to it after doing something else, but you want to make sure, okay, I want to clone this, so he's going to be number one. but there's no way to know what number 1 is anymore. You got to kind of remember. And then I
Right.
want to put a flag in there somewhere. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be something else, like these gold doors down here or something.
Right.
That
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Saves a little bit of time. And then you got your angles and stuff if you want to play with those.
yeah, that could be fun.
Could be. Then again, it could drive you crazy going, why is everything all jacked up right now?
Oh, then I call you.
And I'll tell you, go to Tool, Settings,
Reset.
Reset Tool.
Right.
Not that I've had that problem before, but
Michael, what made clone source pop up?
what's
Because
that?
what made the clone source box pop up?
Window.
I'm going to close it real quick. We'll go to Window, down to Clone Source.
Oh, okay, great. I haven't used it before either, so.
That's okay.
Oh, good. It wasn't just me.
No, I've not used that before.
A lot of people haven't used that. It's
Great
something that
information.
it's there, but it's
Yes.
not there.
Yeah.
Sort of. If I were to try and clone current layer right now, and I want to take this, let's take the flagpole on the left side of the Capitol right here. We'll go to clone, make a big giant brush. And I will option click on the ball right there and go down. Nothing's happening because if I'm on current layer, there's nothing on this layer. So you have to go either all layers or current and below. Well, for me, current and below works the best. So now if I do it, it adds more in there. So just that easy, right?
Easy peasy.
Any other questions out there?
Probably
Okay.
lots, but I have to play with it a little more.
Well, most everybody's got my email address. You're more than welcome to email me. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me because I won't answer the phone when I'm out to dinner and stuff like that. If you have questions, send me an email. If we need to, we'll Zoom together so we can answer your questions and get you taken care of.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
You
I
bet.
won't call you.
I won't answer.
Yes, you're very.
Anything else out there, guys? Going once, going twice.